Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. The time is 4:13 PM, and I call the Board of Estimate and Contract regular meeting into order. Clerk Bonilla, if you could call the roll.
Thank you. Comptroller Morton.
Aye, present.
Present. Council President Thompson.
Here.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Here.
Proceed. Resolutions approving ordinances. Number one, Office of the Mayor, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to attend the New York Conference of Mayors, NICOM 2026 Winter Legislative Winter Meeting, February 1st, 2026 through February 3rd.
Second.
On the question,
Can we talk about the essential nature of it?
so the essential nature of the New York Conference of Mayors and Municipal Officers is the premier kind of body for cities and towns in the state of New York. I have the honor to serve as the vice president of the New York Conference of Mayors and Municipal Officials. Our winter meeting generally is to prepare the legislative agenda for the governor's budget, what our legislative priorities are as leaders throughout the state. This year, of course, we're focusing on water infrastructure. We'll be building our case and talking about the need for increased aids to municipalities, increased CHIPS funding, which is your highway infrastructure funding. We will be speaking about the changes in the New York State EMS system, which we know has been a very big issue in our state and definitely in the city of Mount Vernon. As we look forward to see how we're going to continue this expansion that we've done. I sit on the founding task force for the EMS. We are also, we'll be focusing on things like foils, AI and the use of AI in government. But the major issues that we're dealing with in our cities and towns throughout the state, this is where your mayors, your administrators, your city council come together to focus on what the strategies are going to be, what the best practices are, and how we will make those adjustments in our community. So there are two main meetings that happen per year. One is in January for the New York Conference of Mayors, and the second one is generally in May. I believe it's in May, and that's more of a training, and this one is more of a legislative priority focus. We also use this opportunity to meet with the state representatives from the Assembly, and from the Senate to talk again about the priorities, the legislative and the funding priorities that we have in our cities and towns throughout the state of New York, making sure that we're in alignment with them and they're in alignment with us. And then, of course, public safety as well. So, and the other good thing about this, which, we're able to do in between meetings, after meetings, is you have probably a few hundred vendors that come there that provide government services, whether it's technology, public works, recreation, public safety. And it is really important to be able to go throughout those, the conference center to be able to see what the new tools are that are being made available to government now. Things like that would interest you is, of course, the retirement system, the, what do you call that, workers' compensation, things of that nature. But all of those vendors are also there. So this is an important meeting. And then I would say, because the next one that's going to come up is the U.S. Conference of Mayors, very, very similar focus. The January meeting is about the legislative focus, and the meeting later in the year also focuses on legislation, but more of the training that we need to stay on top of all of the changes that are happening across the state and across the country.
Okay, so alright, so I see the cost, right? So I got the registration fee for $375. Then it's $1,000, not to exceed $1,000. So that's inclusive of the $375? So because it's in Albany, right? But I'm just trying to, the only reason I'm asking this question now is because I don't have the
Yeah,
detail.
it's 2 nights. It's 2 nights. It's so staying there February 1st and the 2nd and checking out on the 3rd. So the $1,000 should,
You
Hmm?
know what the rate was?
it usually comes out after taxes to about $300 a night.
We paying taxes though. We gonna get you.
Well, not taxes, but whatever fees. There are hotel fees and then there are
So
taxes.
that's why this is, the not to exceed is 1,000, meaning inclusive of that.
Yes, and I'm driving.
Got it.
I am driving.
Did you go
Huh?
did you go by yourself? What you saying? You said you're driving.
Yeah, there's not another staffer that is attending.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm at. That's what I'm asking. Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right. Roll call?
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
Number two, Office of the Mayor and Ordinance authorizing the mayor to attend the United States Conference of Mayors, USCM, 94th Winter Meeting in Washington, DC, January 28, 2026 through January 30th, 2026.
So move. Second.
On the question?
All right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
1725 for registration.
Yep. That is the fee. That's the fee for mayors. It's about 2,200 to 2,500 for other attendees, but that's the fee.
Mhm. And this one is not to exceed 3,000.
Right. And the rest of that would be for hotel. So that's 3 nights in a hotel. 'Cause that meeting starts at 8:00 a.m. on the 28th. So it's not as if I'm going to drive or take a train at 2:00 in the morning to get there for, to start meetings.
And your participation is actually 3 panels?
I'm participating in 3 panels. So with the United States Conference of Mayors, I serve as one of 20 member mayors in the country who serves as a trustee. So I serve on the board of trustees for the U.S. Conference of Mayors. I am the co-chair of Equity, and I co-chair the Standing Commission for Children, Health, and Human Services. Clearly that's very important as we're talking about healthcare in the country, as we're talking about youth development, and we're talking about human services. Under human services comes mental health, substance abuse, job training, job development, seniors, childcare, and childcare policy. So I co-chair that committee. So I'll be involved in that panel and that workshop and that work. I've just been appointed and I'll get my appointment letter today. They have a new task force. As we see the aging population in the country continues to grow. We thought it was just the boomers, but now Gen X, I guess we're a big generation and coming in. So they've asked me to chair the new task force for aging. We have a big partnership with AARP. Mount Vernon, we know that's an important issue for us, as we are one of the communities in the country that has the fastest growing aging population according to Forbes. So, how can we find out some of the best practices that are happening? And so I'm on that. The other panel that I will be sitting on is environmental. I serve on the board for the U.S. Climate Mayors, and so we will be talking about Mount Vernon's thermal energy network and where we are in the process in doing that with Con Edison before the Public Service Commission board. And then we're going to talk about from heat to harm reduction. And that's an innovation that we've been able to kind of mill out here in the city of Mount Vernon. I don't think we've had a homicide in the summer for about 4 summers. If not 4, then definitely 3. And summer was when we used to have most of our homicides. Because when the streets are hot, when the temperature's hot, the streets are hotter. But we really put together a few years ago, probably back in about 2023, our Summer of Safety plan. And that was increasing the work that we were doing in coordination between the Youth Bureau, Department of Parks and Recreation, Office of Aging, and the Police Department, as well as our community partners and the Office of Veterans Affairs to keep people occupied. But then also we looked at climate resiliency and, putting up the trees and increasing the tree canopy because it's hotter in neighborhoods that don't have tree coverage, right? And it's about an average of 5 to 7 degrees hotter. And if you don't have a place to go, if you don't have anything to do in the heat, then little things will annoy you and things pop off on the street. So in these past 3 years, no homicides during the summer and probably half of the violence that we'd historically seen. And so they want Mount Vernon to share their best practices around that, as well as the U10. We sent Shane over to, I believe, Denmark or Sweden. Copenhagen. He went over to Copenhagen. And like I said, we're still working on that U10. Mount Vernon is slated to become the 3rd community in the state that has an underground thermal energy network. And so people around the country are wanting to hear about that, especially with affordability and utilities being a major issue. This is another way to reduce the costs. And then the last official panel, I've been asked to speak on Capitol Hill to the Senate Commission on Energy, to the Senate Energy Commission, again on affordability, back in 2025, when I was still the president of Westchester Municipal Officers Association. We pulled together 43 of our 45 municipalities here in Westchester to file a challenge to Con Edison's increase in the rates. Con Edison is looking to do as much as a 19% increase over 3 years. And we came together to challenge them as municipalities. We agreed as a city to put $5,000 towards that challenge. It is coming to its final stages. And of course, the Senate Energy Committee wants to hear about that work and how we did it, and how we're working with our community and our partners to push back against the energy industry. And then also wanting to hear about the U10 as well, understanding the importance of that work to keeping the energy affordability crisis at bay. So those are, other than going to public safety workshops, going to housing, going to land use workshops, going to economic development workshops. I also sit on the Mayor's Water Council, going to those, and I sit on the Food Security Commission for the U.S. conference. So those are just, it's busy. It's busy. It's like, how are you going to do all of that in 3 days? Yeah, because you do, because you work from can't see in the morning till really can't see at night. It's usually about, our day starts at about 7:30, 8 o'clock, and we're usually done somewhere about 10 to midnight for all of the events, the dinner meetings, the after dinner meetings, all being done by vendors and people who want to do business with our community and who want to share resources. It's not a vacation. And I'm sorry I gave that long detailed thing, but I know this is an area that people are really looking at and concerned about.
And we only have about $60,000 for this year. So, we got to be very, very prudent about it. I think that and I just want to be clear, right? there's gonna probably be some latitude as it pertains to the elected officials and what needs to be done because they need to be representative. And I understand that. And I don't think the public may necessarily agree with some of it, but some of it is not about actually, while it has to be, it all is essential and it all has to be essential to what we're doing, especially this year. Right. There are also some other things too, as it pertains to representation of the city. You got to be in the room in order to be connected. And sometimes, and that happens at that level, right? At the levels of the legislators, the level of the executive, and I recognize that. You know, we just got to be cautious because one, we're talking about now with these two, that would be $4,000 of the 60. So as we go forward and now, and also understanding what actually the protocols are going to be for the departments. I just want to make sure that departments understand this, right? That you really have to be able to answer those very essential questions in order for it to come, right? Before us, right? In these particular cases, these two, we have actually where our executive also is also a representative, not only of us, but a representative of the actual professional body too, and making some presentations to them. So I get that. I just also want us to push and make sure that we carry the message to others too, that we push that when we are going to do presentations, that maybe we try to get them to pay for some of our costs too on that, right? Where they can. In some cases they can. It is what it is. But you know, these are going to be things that we just have to very, very carefully kind of review. Otherwise, we're going to run out of money for these things before we actually get the year started. And we don't necessarily want to do it. There's some people that are of the opinion that we should have taken travel completely out of the budget. I have taken the position, and I will take the position again as the chief financial officer, that would not have been prudent to take it all completely out. But we do have to be able to be measured about what it is that we are doing and how we're doing it, and creative and having shared costs too. In some cases where we get the entity to pay for us to do it, to be able to do this. So I wanted to, because there's going to be talk, there's going to be conversation around this and around these two. And just so we are very, very clear, I am going to be asking those hard questions for everybody. I already started with the departments and they started inquiring right now. So don't want people to think that this is just a show. This is not. I'm very serious about it, but we also want to make some decisions that people may not necessarily understand. But there's a bigger picture sometimes. You know, I kind of gave this analogy on Sunday, right? The fact is that you're looking at a painting and you're really close up on it. You see the strokes of, you know, the brushes and the strokes, right? You can't see the masterpiece of that until you step back from it. Sometimes we are too far in it that we think we got it all and we don't have it all, right? And so, yeah, there's going to be a whole lot, but this is going to be I keep saying it's going to be a very difficult, tough year. We just got to manage it well. So,
And can I ask something of this body, since it is one that, you know, is represented by our financial, our administrative, and our legislative leadership, that if the comptroller's office could prepare a report, because I would like an accurate report of how much we have actually spent on travel and training. You know, there are people who have their own performative reasons, and I'm going to say it just like that, because I'm tired of stepping lightly with people who are here to do nothing but to sow chaos and confusion, right? Talking about, oh, the mayor's office has already put in the mayor's office, 90% of my travel. And if you give me the raw information, I can also create the report myself on my own time and on my own dime, because I don't work actively for the city 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I actually do have my own time, right? And I know how to calculate and create an Excel sheet. 90% of my travel in these 6 years has been paid for by, just like you said, people who were asking me to come and speak to conferences. Were paid for the organizations where I sat on the leadership teams and things of that nature, whether it was Barcelona, Brazil, or Dubai, whether it's been California or Texas or wherever else, Atlanta, a lot of places where I've traveled on business representing the city were paid for by different organizations and different groups because of the expertise that I was bringing. the city of Mount Vernon, like 80% of the communities in our country. You know, we look at big cities, but there are only 10 cities that are 1 million people or more. 80% of the cities across this country are 100,000 residents or less. But very rarely do we have a seat at the table because we are not part of the Big Ten. And we have been able to work and develop relationships that allow Mount Vernon to sit in the room with Chicago and with LA and with Philadelphia and Houston and Denver and your big cities. And it is that constant push and ability to be in the room and be at the table where we've been able to impact policies and conversation, not just nationally, but even here in the state. We're the 8th largest city in the state, but usually what you hear about is the Big Five. Hear about the Big Five and you hear about the wealthy, right? We're not the Big Five and we are surely not the wealthy, but yet we are at the table giving input on legislative priorities, on budget priorities, on partnerships and practices that are happening in our state and our nation because we are at the table and we are in those rooms and we are building relationships. And people might want to forget, but we were the laughing stock back in 2020. You know, everyone, you heard Mount Vernon, you laughed. You just thought of confusion, right? And no one was rushing, even in this state, to help Mount Vernon. And we had to go outside of our state to gain respect and legitimacy. And when we gained respect and legitimacy outside of the state, we were able to come back inside of the state. I promise you, we would not have developed those partnerships and some of those relationships that we developed to get that $150 million that we got from the state of New York had we not left. You know, sometimes you got to go to college and come back and you're no longer, little Bobo. Now you're Joseph the man. Right. And so this is also some of the reasons that we have to do that. We have to be at the table. We have to be in the room. And when people think of initiatives and opportunities, right now, NVIDIA, which is one of your biggest chip makers, they've asked me, and I'm going to be a part of some of the work that they're doing around government AI. So NVIDIA, Cisco, Microsoft. I am part of one of 10 mayors right now in the country that will be participating in a whole government AI innovation program because we're in the room. So, it will come up and it'll come up over and over again. But I think it's, as much as they bring it up, I'm more than prepared to push back. And then we could also prepare a report on my sick and vacation time too, because I can promise you that in 6 years, I've never even taken the 20 days of vacation time that I'm allotted for just 1 year. So I've left a lot of vacation and sick time on the table. But, since people want to talk about how they pay my salary all the daggone time, and I have to sit in my desk and be a good little girl, because of some of the misogyny and the racism, I'm gonna call it like it's misogyny and racism, and I'm gonna call it like it is. So you want to call me out, I'm gonna call you out. Because that's what some of it is, and I'm not going to placate them. I've checked, and I know that we as a whole city didn't even spend $60,000 on travel, right? Some of the money that is spent on travel, we're reimbursed with through grants, especially for the Youth Bureau. So even if you extract the Youth Bureau out and scholarships, right? The Youth Bureau has to go to travel. In order for us to accept the money that they get, they have to go and they present at these conferences and we get reimbursed. So if you want to take out what we pay for the fire department to go to the academies that they have to go to get certified as firemen, you take that out. The money that people like to claim that is being spent on travel and training. And then the last thing I want to say is the city went to hell in a raggedy handbasket over the past 30 years because we didn't go to training and we didn't get certified and we didn't get updated in codes, building and fire codes. And we became so far out of compliance with almost everything that we needed to do in the state. And so again, I understand people's worries, but when you're talking about a $60,000 budget, that's not even a percentage of a point on their taxes. And so we could focus on that. The fact that we are paying higher taxes is because we do not have a fund balance. It is not because people are jet setting on the city tax dollar. So it's about the narrative. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's just also important for the community to understand that it's necessary to go outside of the community to bring resources in. Mount Vernon is not going to get resources just sitting at the table in Mount Vernon. You have to go and make these partnerships and get your seat at the table and actually gather information. And some of the best things come from coming back and turnkeying that information to make sure that our city continues to move forward. So I'm appreciative of every department willing to go to these trainings and come back with the information to share it.
And you know, Comptroller, going to these trainings are exhausting. You go and you sit in these conferences and these trainings all day. And then when you finally get back to your hotel room, you're answering all of your emails and you're calling your staff until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And if we're on the West Coast, you're or wherever. So whether I'm in Barcelona or Dubai, I would get and finish my work sometimes in the middle of the day, but then I had to be up at 2 a.m. so that I could communicate with the staff who were in the middle of their workday, right? And that is what we do. We are not jet setting. We're not partying. We are working and we are bringing resources back. That's how you found out about putting your assets to work. That's how we got a free staff person in the building department who was streamlining, our whole permitting and our certificate of occupancy process. That's how we're solving issues. And the tax rates would be even higher would we not have gone out and brought back here the type of money that we've brought back for our sewers, for our stormwater, for lead service, for providing some grants to homeowners who were having backups and sewer issues in their houses. The capital monies don't help the operational budget, but if the city had to pay, for them capital repairs, when we don't have a capital budget, none of us.
It's also important for the community to understand that when money comes in, it's specified for a specific thing. You can't take this to pay this, and people assume that if you got this money for infrastructure, you can take that out to pay something else and, dip and dabble. And it's important to understand that, no, these monies are allotted for specific things.
And they're monitored.
Mm-hmm.
And they're monitored. We have audits by our auditors, but more importantly, you have auditors based on the people who fund you. And no one likes us that much that any of them are going to jail, and we're not trying to go to jail for misappropriating any funds. We were already told by the state comptroller a few years ago to stop using our own personal money to give to the city to address issues because we might can be taken to court for that. So I never went back and asked for almost $70,000 worth of money that I used from my inaugural fund to help fund projects in the city and take care of food needs and telephones. So not a dime or a dollar have we stolen, but we could absolutely put out a list of how much we've given that doesn't come, that should have never had to come from our pockets. But let's go on to the next thing. But I,
Your request, we will look at it and we'll do an internal audit or review of the 402 and the 417 lines. Which are the travel, education and training, right?
and can we specifically also just parse out what is fire, right? Because when fire we're paying 4,500.
451.
That's a different code. Okay, so those two.
No, we'll parse it out. We'll also make sure that it's clarified as to what is travel, what is training, and there's classifications on it. Was it reimbursable? Is not. I mean, we'll just get the team on that. So
Because there's just a flat out lie pushed by liars out there, because they're liars. There's a difference between misinformation and disinformation and liars. And some people are liars, and some people have relevance because they are purveyors of misinformation, disinformation, and confusion and chaos. I understand there is an accountability, and I don't hold myself beyond the law or anyone around this table beyond the law. Nor do I hold myself beyond question. But people just feel because you're an elected servant that they get to take free shots to tear down your character, to tear down your name, and to make you a target. And if you push back against that, then you're thin-skinned, you're immature, you're unprofessional, you think you're beyond reproach, you lack civility, and things of that nature. No. Yesterday was Martin Luther King Day, and he said sometimes that, evil is not just about the bad people who sit there and sow the chaos and confusion. It's about the good people who stand by and say nothing. I'm not asking for the good people of Mount Vernon to jump up and jump in the middle of political chaos and confusion. I'm just saying that we're going to push back on some of these repeated lies that are given by some people who show them their faces. At least I could respect people who say what they have to say under their name, but I have no respect for and no real consideration for people who hide behind blogs, hide behind fake social media pages, and say that this is about transparency. It's not about transparency. It's about their manipulation, and they're not afraid. They act like we're some type of mafia, gang, crew, street crew that's going to come and knock them off. They're like, oh, well, we can't let our names be known because they have so much power. They're going to come after us. Stop. Sit down in the corner with some of those lies. You do it privately because you're a coward and because you don't have the integrity, nor do you have facts to even back up 90% of this trash that you put out there. It's easier for people to believe a lie than to believe a truth. And when people are hurting in their pockets, we are in a society now where we're always looking for someone to blame or someone to demonize. And while I understand that, it's gotten to a place, not just nationally, but locally, where it is reckless and it is irresponsible. And, and it interferes with the operation of government. So people may not like the way I'm being direct about this today, but it's a new year. And
Sometimes you gotta address it.
sometimes you just have to address it. Okay,
Roll call.
thank you.
Comptroller Morton. Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
Okay, number 3, Department of Public Works and Ordinance authorizing a budget transfer for the renewal of iWork sewer management and fleet enterprise software.
So moved.
second,
On the question?
we on the beginning of the year, we're making a transfer.
Fiscal year 25.
Why are we making it? Was it overspent?
Yeah.
With all the balancing that we did. This wasn't something that. Just thinking that in, yeah. thinking that in the future, we might have to just hold all of these for the complete balancing of the year. Was there a bill that needed to be paid?
It's the bill, we legislated the bill in April, but they presented it, I think they received it in November. And they just presented.
They received the item in November?
They received the bill for the software. It came in November and didn't have enough in the line to cover the purchase. And so they were trying to move funds around and they didn't make it on the last, meeting to get the referral letter in for the transfer.
So who was at this switch that occurred? Because if they had the legislation in April, then it should have been encumbered. And the amount should have been encumbered so that when the bill came in, somebody was asleep at the switch on that one, right? Okay. Just make sure this year that you get a tight budget, that can't happen. So, I mean, if that they legislate for something or put a purchase order in for something, then that amount has to be encumbered in it because they no longer have it until they release that. If the amount comes in underneath the amount that has been, same thing with these, like we just approved $4,000, it gets encumbered. And now when the mayor comes back, she comes back with the receipts of it all. If it comes in underneath of that, then it gets released from it. But we gotta make sure that the staff is on top of the encumbrance.
Is there any additional step that we have to take on the administrative end after something is legislated to have it encumbered? Or is that a function of downstairs?
Function of my office, that's why I said somebody's legal to bills on that one, because that one should have been encumbered. I mean, we've been doing it. I don't know how that just didn't happen, so, yeah. Okay,
Roll call?
Controller Morton,
aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
Number 4, Board of Water Supply, an ordinance adopting the fiscal year 2026 operating budget of the Board of Water Supply of the City of Mount Vernon.
So move.
Second.
On the question?
Yeah, so I think this might be the first time that we actually are adopting the Board of Water budget. I had a conversation with, Commissioner Sproul about that. Going forward, we need to make sure that we do it, especially because we also are getting from the auditors, the request in their testing for, all of the documentation that supports the fact that we have adopted all of the budgets, similar to what we also did with the art budget, right? For that, what we will also do with any capital budgets that we actually develop going forward. In addition to that, I also talked to Commissioner Sproul about making sure that that draft budget aligns up with the submission of the draft budget to the mayor in the August timeframe. So submission of the estimated estimates for the year coming up should also include the water department too being also submitted as well. What we ultimately want to do is to be able to get to the place where we present the general fund, and also presenting all the other funds. So the Board of Water, and we get to a point of our capital budget, we will be presenting all of those kind of going forward, especially given the fact that we also do adopt the salaries as a part of the salary resolutions. For the Board of Water, we need to make sure we've got an adopted budget in order to do that. So I just wanted to kind of give somebody may say, okay, wait a minute, I've never heard about this before. So it was a matter of a discussion, one between me and the commissioner, and two, also trying to also take care of some of those items that also the state comptroller's office is recommending for us.
Okay.
No.
Roll call.
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
Number 5, Board of Water Supply and ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a software as a service, SaaS agreement with Tyler Technologies for the implementation of an enterprise resource planning ERP system.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? Hearing none, roll call.
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
6, Youth Bureau, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into with the New York State Office of Children and Family Services for the funding of the Youth Bureau's Empower MED program set to commence in February 2026.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? Thank you to our Assemblyman Pretlow for working with, the Youth Bureau and OCFS to get this funding, for this program. Roll call?
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
7, Youth Bureau, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to retroactively enter into an agreement with the Westchester County Youth Bureau to accept funds for the GEM program and to provide required city matching funds January 1st, 2026 and ending December 31st, 2028.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? Hearing none, roll up. Go on.
Not really a question, but just a statement. So this will happen again
Mhm.
throughout the year, especially with the county. Because the way in which the county does, their contracts, sometimes those contracts don't get fully executed, completed until after the program has already been scheduled to begin. So there will be some of these where there is this retroactive, right? Usually what happens is that there's always the acceptance of an award letter that happens. The contract may not actually come until later on, right? And so the award letter serves as that pretty much that line of credit or that promissory note for it. So there's some places where this happens with the county, but also there's some places where it also happens with the state as it pertains to when the actual contract gets executed, as opposed to when the actual program or the service begins. So be clear.
And they're getting ready to see that on number 8 and number 9. Okay, roll call.
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
Number 8, Youth Bureau, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the New York State Office of Children and Family Services through the Westchester County Youth Bureau and authorizing the acceptance of funds for the Youth Development Program YDP, October 1, 2025 through September 30th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? Hearing none, roll call.
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
And number 9, Youth Bureau, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Westchester County Youth Bureau for the acceptance of grant funds in the amount of $25,000 for the Moving in Motion MIM program, October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? Hearing none, roll call.
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
I'm going that we take actually 10 and 11 together. These are travel for the youth bureau. Training. Travel and training.
Okay. Let me
This is training.
pull on that motion. Second,
Second.
roll call.
This is a motion to take a block vote. Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
10 and 11.
Mhm.
Youth Bureau, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to approve travel and conference participation for youth and staff of the Mount Vernon Youth Bureau to attend the annual leadership forum, February 2nd through the 3rd, 2026 in Troy, New York. Number 11. Youth Bureau and ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement. No. Did I do that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. You're right.
Into an agreement with Barrington Irving Technical Training School for the Spring Aviation Program under the Youth Employment Program, YEP.
So moved.
Second.
On the question?
So these grants and has to they be taken together because they are all about kind of the training for our youth. They are directly associated also with grants and funding sources in which we receive to the city for the strict purpose of the content, the scope of the grant itself, which is really about youth development and youth training.
Should probably
And
put
there's-
13 in there too.
I didn't see 13, and there are requirements for that, as well as requirements for making sure that you have the appropriate staff that go to also what is it there to do with the programs. These are all good things for our young folks and for our staff in their professional development in youth development.
Mhm. And workforce development too. It's all really important. Okay. Roll call?
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye. And just also really quickly, these training programs, especially if you look at number 11, we were the first youth bureau in the region to do it. We have young people who have graduated from this is all about flying planes and being introduced to the aeronautics industry, which is huge. They've gone through training. They've been hired, some of them, by companies at Westchester County Airport. We have others that are in school out near the LaGuardia Airport and JFK in Queens, where they're going to be going into lucrative careers. And I know in this next round, there's even a drone program that some of our young people will be certified in drones. And drones, as we know, we're getting ready to do a first responder drone program. Those are happening also around the area. So we're constantly looking for the emerging workforce development areas and making sure that our young people are front and center and getting opportunities. I know after we did our aeronautics program, I believe the White Plains Youth Bureau has opened up a program after ours. But we have to make sure that we are providing these creative opportunities for our young people in Mount Vernon so that they, people think of us for sports, but our young people are also scientists, business people, and we want to make sure they're introduced to these industries. So we got to look at number 12, I think we're on.
Oh, yes, it is. 12. Youth Bureau, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Organizational Capacity Building, OCB, to provide professional development services for the WDAY staff in support of the Youth Employment Program.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? Hearing none, roll call.
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
13, Youth Bureau, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Towson Press S Corp. To provide a youth food hospitality program through the Youth Bureau in support of the Youth Employment Program scheduled to commence in February 2026 and conclude in May 2026.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? I'm excited about their partnership with Towson Press. They are on Prospect Avenue. They actually are opening a second storefront and they're expanding their business. So I think someone from the Food Network called them the cultural, the Black and Caribbean Chipotle. I think they're more than that, but their business is being recognized as a growing business in Mount Vernon, and this is a nice opportunity for our young people. Roll call.
Comptroller,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
All right, 14, Youth Bureau, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Flying Classroom parent company of Barrington Irving Technical Training School, BITS, to provide a drone and aviation STEM program for middle school youth funded through the Project Rise program over a 6 to 8 week period.
Can,
So moved.
can we do 15 and 16 together? Because they're both for the Flying Classroom drone program. One is for middle school and one is for high.
Block vote 14 through 16,
No, 14 and 15.
15.
14 and 15. I need a second.
Second.
Roll call.
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
And I read 14, I'm read 15. Youth Bureau, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Flying Classroom to provide a drone FAA training program for high school youth funded through the Project Rise grant.
So moved.
On the question? Hearing none, roll call.
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
16, Office of Emergency Management, an ordinance authorizing a transfer of appropriated funds within the fiscal year 2026 adopted budget to support the auxiliary police unit.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? So on the question, auxiliary police historically had been under the Office of Emergency Management. In 2020, we decided to move it, I believe, over to the police department itself. And we had decided to do that because we kind of had to bring auxiliary under control. People weren't certified, background checks hadn't been done. It wasn't organized. People had backgrounds and histories and were walking around in uniforms that represented the city of Mount Vernon and were doing things that were not quite legal. And so we moved it over to the police department to get the training and do all of that. We have now, our director of OEM is a former officer, right? Has been working closely with the police department around getting our auxiliary to be peace officers, which gives them a little more authorities, even up to potentially writing tickets, but have kind of done a lot of retraining for auxiliary and have also expanded them to what they call the CERT team, the Crisis Emergency Response Team. And so as the CERT team, they often are very involved in not just community special events and activities, but really responding to those fires and to disasters in the evenings and on the weekends in ways that is very different from what the police department does, but complementary. And so bringing them back over to auxiliary. What we have also done is we've had for several years now, a public safety committee. And so police, fire, and OEM, EMS, and the Office of Neighborhood Safety meet monthly, sometimes every other week, to coordinate their services. And so both the police department and OEM felt that this would be a good move for them to move back over into the Office of Emergency Management, which I think before that was called, what do we used to call it? The Office of Civil Defense. And I don't think we've had a civil defense office. I mean, it was civil defense or something like that, but civil defense is very World War II, Monday morning at 11 a.m. air raids that we used to get under the table for at school. I was at the end of that generation of kids who had those air raid drills. And so this is the right time. And so this 25,000 is not money that is new. It is just money that will be moved from auxiliary over to OEM. This covers uniforms, this covers their basic supplies and equipment and needs that they have. So that's what this money is for.
Hey, I'm just trying to figure this out. I mean, from a function standpoint, I heard you. I'm just trying to figure it out. You got the auxiliary police going into emergency management. And I hear the fact that we have someone who actually is a full police officer right there now, but I don't know. I just don't know if we.
Well, it's where it historically.
Right, from a function
Mhm.
standpoint, right? And from a so what is so maybe I need to understand clearly the auxiliary police function. So what are the auxiliary police doing? What's their primary role?
So the auxiliary police historically in Mount Vernon had been about crowd control. So when we have festivals, when we have events, when we have Arts on Third or City Fest, when we have um, the summer breeze and things of that nature, they've been crowd control. They come out, they're not officers, they're not licensed police officers, and they come and they kind of help keep they've really been crowd control. I mean, that's what they've functioned as for many, many years. And like I said, the name of the office wasn't even emergency management, it was just civil defense. And I don't know if the Office of Civil Defense had a real strong definition of what it was for a long time. And that's why when I came in, probably in my first or second year, we changed it from civil defense over to emergency management. And we changed the focus and the title of what that person did and who they were, and then as well as the credentials that the person who led that needed to have. So the Office of Emergency Management right now responds and provides support to the fire and the police department and DPW in responding to every fire, into responding to every kind of major crime scene, in responding to any natural disasters and storms that are happening. So they coordinate that. They also deal with any state of emergencies that the city has to declare. They work with the Westchester County Department of Public Safety and Emergency Management and the surrounding cities to do that. And so our auxiliary officers have gone just from being crowd control to also coming out and providing aid in the fire. I can tell you that with the number of fires that we've had here in the city, and that's our historical number of fires that we have, they come in the evening and they provide extra support. We use no police and fire services to take care of the shelter that we help the Red Cross run and then the county run for 5 weeks over at the school. They staff that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They stepped up and they provided services to that. And then they've also since gone and gotten their certifications as peace officers. So they can actually write tickets. They can actually provide some basic VCOs. But they're used primarily for crowd and for emergency response that is of a non-police nature, if that makes sense. It's of a non-police nature, and it's coordinated through the Emergency Management Office. And even though they were based in the police department, they were supervised for probably the last few years while they were over there by OEM. So they've been supervised for several years by OEM, really only for probably about a year where they supervised by a police officer who then became a retired police officer. I think being over in Office of Emergency Management gives them clearer supervision, clearer focus, clearer function, clearer duties, and coordination.
Accountability.
And accountability,
Mhm.
absolutely, and accountability. And then the partnership between OEM, Inspire, EMS, provides them expanded training and, and support to do the expanded work that they're doing. Because like I said, also the CERT team, so the community crisis emergency response, so they are doing that work.
So is OEM still remaining as a subunit of fire?
It is.
Okay.
And
Maybe
they're located in Station 3 on Third Street, where the emergency services unit of the police department and EMS is also located.
so maybe some thought also maybe of merit, may not, but maybe some thought might be able to be given to, well, as you talk about streamlining process, providing clear direction, coordination of activities and things of that sort. And maybe also what we now have as the Office of Neighborhood Safety too. Three functioning parts need to probably come together as some, maybe even a new office, as it not necessarily being, because you're right. It was civil defense, but it was civil defense. And it actually at that point in time, it was reporting directly into the mayor's office, right? It was for civil defense. And we didn't quite know exactly what that kind of meant either. But as we look to try to do a little bit more clarity around this, I could see, right, the police, the auxiliary police, or whatever we call peace officers, whatever you want to call them. I guess I got stuck with the auxiliary police and reporting here, as opposed to, just the auxiliary peace officers or something of that sort, right, reporting in. And then as you talked about, what you see as the functions and the things that they do and crowd control and all of that, what came to our mind was this whole neighborhood safety thing too, right? And how do you synergize all of that, be able to provide? So just something to think about.
And so that's part of the work that they do. Like I said, we've broken this administration up, and it's something I'd like to codify because it is a good structure. We have Public Safety Committee, we have the Economic Development, we have Infrastructure, and we have Human Services. Remember, that's how we kind of set it up during the whole COVID piece. And then you have administrative, which is IT and law department and stuff like that. But that's how they've been meeting, and that's how they've been working together to break down the silos in between those departments. So police, fire, OEM as a subsection, and the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement and EMS do meet monthly. And they have agendas, they're working on the active shooter, they're working on the public health crisis response, all of those things. And so the director of the Office of Emergency Management kind of coordinates some of those cross things. Some of the, we've seen a lot, like public health has become more a part of our functions through, especially with us having a hybrid ambulance system, where it's co-managed by the city of Mount Vernon and Empress. They're not just simply a contractor. And then we have the community-based paramedicine program and the mobile integrated health program. All of those things fall under that now. And OEM has been coordinating that work in partnership with fire and police. So it's that stuff where it requires us to all come together. And when you look at the 12,000 calls that fire gets a year, 8,000 of them are EMS health related, mental health, those kind of peace officer support work. Roll call.
Controller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
17, Fire Department, an ordinance authorizing the transfer of funds within the 2025 Fire Department budget.
So move.
Second,
On the question,
um,
so on the question, again, it feels like it was an encumbrance issue maybe at one time. Because we approved for fire to do the fire academy, but it was more than, I think, just an encumbrance because we also had the extra fire academy, right? Last year, in order to do the extra class that we did, we had the extra fire academy. And so that caused us to overspend what is traditionally their training budget. And so this is where this is coming out of. And so they were asking to transfer some of the monies. We did not send 10 people to the academy. So transferring some of that money from the person or two that was not sent to the academy. And then one, I think, had to pull out something, but it's one of it's janky. It's not as this is not as clear as it usually is because we did more academies. We did an extra academy and a larger academy than we would traditionally do under fire.
um, okay. You know, my challenge, right, is that
Overtime.
their overtime is out the window.
Mhm. And that's why we did the extra. And that's why we did the extra academy.
So this,
Um, right,
so this one is, we did the initial transfer for the 10 additional firefighters for their salary, but we didn't include the uniform and equipment. And so they had to put some more money over to cover their uniform and equipment during the, academy.
Yeah. So we pay $4,500. I don't, and I really don't understand why. Like, police go to the academy for free. Fire pays $4,500 to go to the Westchester County Academy. It's a different system. But then on top of that, their turnout gear, boots, and SCBAs come to about $5,000 for their basic protective equipment. So, clearly that's far exceeds what we have to do also for police. So I think so that's what this money is for. It actually wasn't just for the training, it was for the equipment. And they're about to come out of the academy. And so we rent equipment when they're in the academy, but we have to provide them with
They graduate.
Yeah, they come in afterwards.
their uniform, their actual protective uniform when they come out.
I guess I'm also trying to figure out how we transferring money from the salary line that
Is overdrawn.
on December 17th, we said was over the amount that they had been budgeted in 2025.
Spoke, he's supposed to be doing a reclass. He's been charging the fire salaries of 101 instead of the 105.
That's why the retiree salary, the retired disabled.
Right.
That's why that is so low.
Right. So they miscategorized the retired disabled salary and put it in 101 instead of 105.
So then I say we hold this until he reconciles. It's just illogical to do that. But right now it's sitting there, right? The reality is, so the question is it that there's a bill
Yes,
that needs to be paid for that
It-
has not been paid?
it's not even a bill. They haven't received the equipment. The equipment has been ordered. They are graduating in a few days and they can't get any of this until, they've gone through their,
Okay, so I'll authorize to pay the bill and overextend the line and then reconcile the line later. But making the transfer something that's already overexpended at this time until he reclasses, it doesn't make any sense. So I would say if anything, just hold it. I would say, let's hold it for the next meeting by that time and have him reclass them. But it doesn't have to go back to the council. It just has to come back here again as a hold item. In the meantime, you all in AP, go ahead on and execute the payment for the equipment.
So can we hold, we're gonna hold it then for the next meeting, and you're authorizing payment of
Pay
this?
From AP to pay the bill, and you're paying that out of the 499
499 and 203.
and 203. It's split between the two.
Yeah, the safety gear comes from 203 and then the uniform itself comes from 499.
Okay. That's fine. Just note it. Okay.
Before we go to the next item, can we
A roll
just
call.
take oh, we got a roll call it to hold it?
Over. What you said to hold it, right? Roll call. Okay.
All right, this is a roll call to hold item number 17 until the next meeting. Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson.
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye. Before we go to 18, can we take a 2-minute break?
Yes.
Can you put it on pause, the live stream?
Sure.
Going on to number 18. Department of Public Safety and Ordinance authorizing training for 2 members of service to attend a command and leadership seminar, April 27, 2026 through May 1st, 2026.
So move.
Okay,
On the question?
this is number 18.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. This is not to exceed $1,500.
I'm going to tell you, based on some of what's happening right now. So this is a command and leadership seminar from the 27th of April to the 1st. And it really focuses on leadership as a science, emphasizing logic and critical thinking. I know we don't think some of that is important, but, and then the skills are covered are organizational culture, honestly, which sucks. Change management, which is going to be critical for us to even maintain the PD, and effective communication and conflict resolution. And I'm telling you, this is as important as the certification for the department to still function. There's, we have a very young patrol division, but even the leadership, people get promoted and they take tests based on taking a test and they get promoted. And then they go to supervisor school for like 2 weeks. And then, but you don't go to supervisor school, or maybe for 3 weeks, but you don't go to supervisor school, going from a sergeant to a lieutenant, and then a lieutenant to a captain, you don't go. And there's a lot of challenge over at the PD around organizational culture, communication, and conflict resolution. This is a very critical, trust me, I know that it is a small budget, but it is a critical training for them to be able to go to.
Well,
They have a different line, right?
theirs doesn't come out.
Oh, okay.
Police and the fire, I think, training stayed because of its uniqueness. So this is actually coming out of their department,
Right.
but they still should.
Yeah,
Right, but
no, but I'd ask them to make sure, I've asked everyone when you're going to trainings, just put a little bit more in a referral letter, but this is important. Thank you. Roll call?
Controller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
19, Department of Assessment and Ordinance authorizing a refund for overpayment of the 2025 county tax bill for property located at 255 Summit Avenue, Section 165.39, Block 2063, Lot 29.
So move.
Second.
On the question? Hearing none, roll call?
Controller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
20, the Department of Planning and Community Development and Ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept grant funds from the Mount Vernon Renewal Agency and the total amount of $324,630 for the period January 1, 2026, through December 31, 2028, and authorizing related expenditures for the position of Budget Specialist 3 grant funded.
So move.
Second.
On the question? Hearing none, roll call?
Controller,
Huh?
Have a question. So budget specialist 3. Wow.
Oh, can we do 19, 20, and 21 together? Because it's for budget specialist number 1 and number 3. But this is interesting.
They separated it.
Yeah, they separated it. On the-
Yeah, it's for 3 years.
Well, these positions are forever as long as we are getting CDBG funding. In order to be able to operate the Urban Renewal Agency, these are 2 positions that are required. These are the administrative positions that are needed to execute administrative oversight of the programs. They're the ones that process all of the payments. And so I know before we had accepted it to do it for kind of like 2 years. And then now I see they're putting it in for 3 years. But the conversation that we had was just permanent, like as long as CDBG funding is coming in, then we know that the CDBG funding, whatever the requisite portion is to pay for their salaries, would have to go into this.
I think the issue is that they have to allocate it based upon the way that URA allocates it, right? Based upon the contract years.
Okay.
Like, yeah, you're right. I mean, the concept is right.
Mhm.
Because that might be the reason why it's coming. Okay. Okay.
To the vote?
Do you want to?
We gotta read it twice anyway.
Yeah.
Roll call.
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
All right, 21, Department of Planning and Community Development, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept grant funds for the Mount Vernon Urban Renewal Agency in the total amount of $233,193 for a 3-year period and to continue funding grant-funded budget specialist 1 position.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? Hearing none, roll call.
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
22. Department of Planning and Community Development and Ordinance amending ordinance number 12 adopted by the City Council on November 21st, 2023, entitled an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept grants from cities and execute a technical assistance service agreement for the establishment of the Mount Vernon Financial Empowerment Center.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? Hearing none, roll call.
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
23, Department of Planning and Community Development and Ordinance amending ordinance number 8 adopted by the City Council on January 10th, 2024, entitled an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept a grant from the African American Mayors Association in support of the Mount Vernon Financial Empowerment Center.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? Just on the question, as we said earlier, going to these meetings is important. I think we pay African American Mayors Association $5,000 a year as a member. Generally, they've paid for me to go to conferences. When I was in leadership succession, I now just sit as president emeritus on the board, but we've gotten $25,000 for this. We got $75,000 from the African American Mayors Association for a food security grant that they've used at the Dole Center. We've gotten grants from the U.S. Conference of Mayors. We've gotten grants from the National League of Cities. So again, that's why we travel. That's why we pay membership dues. That's why we go to these meetings and conferences, because they do help to bring money back to the city and allow us to be in learning cohorts. Roll call.
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
24, Department of Planning and Community Development and Ordinance amending ordinance number 31 adopted by the City Council on August 14, 2025, entitled an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a contract amendment with the cities for financial empowerment fund to incorporate legacy planning services in the Mount Vernon Financial Empowerment Center.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, just in case people don't know what the Financial Empowerment Center is, it is a free service. It's not free for the city, but it is free for our community, where you can come and get information on credit repair, debt reduction, saving money, how to purchase your first house, how to build capital and get capital for your business, your entrepreneurial endeavors. And now we have added to legacy planning services. Legacy planning services, simply stated, is planning for your retirement, planning for your legacy, planning, wills and trusts. But making sure that you have a retirement plan, making sure that you have a will in place and a trust in place, These are all, these services are provided, staff who are contracted through the city, through Mercy College, Mercy University now, and who are nationally certified in these areas, provides free services to Mount Vernon residents regardless of your income. I mean, you know, people say, oh, these are for poor people. Well, most poor people aren't planning for a will, a trust, and retirement, right? If you don't have income, it's kind of hard for you to do that. So whether you make $10,000 a year or $2 million a year, these services are available to the community for free. And with people constantly talking about affordability, I think it's important that the community fully take advantage of these services while they are available, because we are utilizing county space and they've given us in-kind space at the Westchester Putnam, Workforce Board on Mount Vernon Avenue and McQuestion Parkway. These services are also available to residents of Yonkers and New Rochelle because the county provides us with space. So that's it. Roll call.
Comptroller Moore,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Patterson Howard,
Aye.
25. Comptroller, an ordinance authorizing the comptroller to extend the agreement with PFK O'Connor Davies LLP for independent auditing services for fiscal years 2021 and 2022.
So move.
Second.
On the question? You have anything? Okay. Roll call.
Comptroller Moore,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Patterson Howard,
Aye.
26. Salary Resolution Number 4, all positions, Commissioner of Public Works and Senior Clerk.
So move.
I just had a quick question. I want to sign off on the thing, but I was a little confused. Because it looked like it took the salary down. Huh?
Yes. They, you, instead of increase in the commissioner, and shouldn't have. So you have to correct it to the right. Thousand.
On the commissioner or the deputy commissioner?
That's the question. Sounds like.
Okay.
So this is the commissioner of public work.
And that's not even the commissioner's salary, so I was
Right.
confused.
That's why everybody's like,
Hmm?
I'm like, it says here, Commissioner of Public Works.
Uh-huh. That's inaccurate. Supposed to be DP.
Huh?
Supposed to be DP.
Deputy commissioner?
It was in the council, in the council resolution.
Hold on.
Did it go?
Mr. Commissioner of Public Works makes more than 124.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to vote on something and next thing you know, we're not paying somebody right.
Mm-hmm.
Salary resolutions,
No, these don't go to council.
they don't go to council, but
Right. It was correct in the budget. So as long as it's correct in the budget, then it doesn't go to council, comes here just to be the adjustment. But again, it says Commissioner of Public Works, so that's why I'm like,
so whose line it should say deputy?
Let's just say DC.
Change it for me.
You can change it right on the floor.
Right here on the floor.
Oh, let the lawyer use his good pencil.
Yeah.
They're caucusing.
Page 144.
Deputy Commissioner.
Just deputy, and then here is deputy.
And is it the first step or the second step? Is the deputy of operations or the administrative dep? Right? We want to make sure we're not changing anybody's salary.
in the resolution.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner administration.
Okay, so
Okay.
at administration,
Deputy Commissioner of Administration, second deputy, yeah, whatever.
Just put second deputy.
second deputy.
No.
Admin, Deputy Commissioner of Admin. Okay.
Yeah. Addition, yeah, administration, yeah.
And then here, just whatever you,
So second deputy superintendent.
yeah, an initial. Wonderful.
So,
Oh, it says administration. Great.
yeah. So it's like,
Wonderful.
We're, yeah, second deputy.
Mhm.
Administration.
I guess initial it right here.
Yeah, you put. the-
Anywhere,
yeah.
on the side, anywhere. Yeah,
Administration.
it's in here, as long as it says it in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't say unless.
Yeah, that's fine, because as long as this is the most important.
Okay, cool.
Thank you kindly.
Hold on, give me just 1 second, just to make sure that we're talking about doing. Okay,
$30.
okay. All righty. Roll call?
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
All righty. Which one was that? Oh, 27, salary resolution number 9, all positions, laborer and skilled laborer.
So move.
Second.
On the question? Hearing none, roll call?
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
28,
Assistant engineer, Steve,
okay, salary resolution number 14, all positions, assistant engineer, first deputy commissioner, and deputy commissioner.
So move.
Second.
on the question? Hearing none, roll call?
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
Okay, under resolutions of authorizing partial payments, DPW number 29, Department of Public Works, a resolution authorizing partial payment number 19 for sewer system cleaning and televising Phase 1 to National Water Main Cleaning Company, $21,119.14.
So move.
Second.
On the question? Hearing none, roll call?
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
Sir.
Just want to make sure, sir, that we get reimbursements in a timely fashion. Sir? Okay.
Is it good? Okay.
Look, you know, because I'm concerned.
Number 30, Department of Public Works, a resolution authorizing partial payment number 3 to Instuform Technologies LLC for year 2 sewer cleaning and inspection project, $270,183.38.
So move.
Second.
On the question?
What's the time frame?
So now that's 20,000.
This one is, HUD, so it's more of a 3-month reimbursement. So it's closer to a 3-month time frame for us to get the funding back.
Is this the end of that HUD grant? And so there are two, right? There are two. There was one through HUD, that was $1.5 million. And then there was and then there was one through EPA
Yes.
for 1.5 million. So these are those, right? Okay. And I'm just saying that on the record because I was told the other day that Schumer and Bowman gave us $5 million when no, they gave us 3 million. One was 1.5 million from EPA. The other one was $1.5 million from HUD. Okay. I mean, 1.5 and 1.5 is 3 every day. I don't know how people get 5 and want to be bold about it, but okay. I'm being petty. Roll call.
Comptroller Morton,
Aye.
Council President Thompson,
Aye.
Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye.
That concludes the agenda.
Just, something that will be coming to the council, and, hopefully y'all can support it and will be coming to the board. We were awarded the $150 million Environmental Facilities Corporation. We were at the same time awarded 10 million for WQIP. We got this 1.5 million. We got another 1.5 million through EPA, through HUD. We received another $3 million through the, I think it was, ended up being 4, because I think they did 2 and 2, through the State Department of Health for the lead service lines. And then that's through the Water Department. And then we received almost another 3 million that really kind of went to it. I don't think the money came through the city because the state hired the contractors, but it was on behalf of the residents for the Healthy Homes project that they did to put backflow prevention and some HVAC and low flow toilets into people's houses. We've spent the 10 million in WQIP, I believe, right? Of the 150 million, because when you say we've received these monies or we've been awarded, so not that we've received them, we've been awarded, right? You have to spend them. And out of the 150 million, I believe that we still have 128 million of the 150 million based on what the reconciliation we've been doing with the state. And I want to make sure that we're doing our internal reconciliation. And I say that to say, oftentimes we talk about the numbers, the amount of money that's been awarded the city. And just because it's been awarded to the city doesn't mean it's been spent yet. And so when we're looking at $128 million left in just that grant by itself, and the amount of work that still needs to be done underground. Again, all of this work is being done underground. It's nothing that you could see above the ground in a way that's pretty and tangible. We are looking between DPW and the Board of Water Supply, since the Board of Water Supply really isn't as separate as I think it used to be with the city, right? To do some cross-pollination of our water infrastructure work, right? And instead of the kind of the first step of operations, it'd be the first step of water infrastructure and being shared between the DPW and the Board of Water Supply. So then they're dealing with clean water infrastructure, lead service lines, sanitary sewer lines, and stormwater. The 4 main areas of water that we operate here in the city. And that's something, information that we want to bring forward to y'all. We are in the process of redoing that job title. And to bring it before civil service. And once it goes before
Which
civil-
job title?
Deputy DPW deputy, to expand it. So it's right, because it's important to understand, and I want to say, you know, officially, water infrastructure has become huge in the city of Mount Vernon. Capital projects are becoming bigger in the city of Mount Vernon, even though we don't have a capital budget, and that's because of the funding that we're able to bring into the city. The challenge is a lot of this work was never done in the city because you never had anyone with the expertise to do it. And so our sewer system fell apart, and our stormwater system leaked into the sewer system leaked into the stormwater system, causing us to have to go to the EPA in the first place. Lead service lines, we do not have lead in our drinking water. Let me be very clear, because again, people like to misinform. We do not have sewer water in our drinking water. Our drinking water comes from the Catskills and comes through the New York City water supply, right? These are separate. There are hundreds of miles of water infrastructure under our city because each one has a separate system, but they also infrastructure and they run close together, even though they don't run all in the same infrastructure. And we as a city have not done well managing it for a long time. We are losing an incredible asset here in the city of Mount Vernon, but I want to give congratulations to Commissioner Damani Bush because he will be leaving Mount Vernon in almost a month from today to become to go up to the county and get an amazing position because they recognize and everyone across the state. And when I told the state that our Commissioner Bush would be leaving to go to the county, they was like, if you let us, they wanted to steal him. They was like, we wanted to steal him. The only reason we didn't steal him is because we knew he was so needed in Mount Vernon, and he gave us an amazing partner in Mount Vernon to really lead this work. But we also have Nisolovich, who the State Department of Health, DEC, and the Environmental Facilities Commission is very, very familiar with. And they're excited that he's here. He is MS4 certified, which is sewer system certified, and these stormwater system certified. He led probably one of the biggest lead service replacement projects in the state. And so they're very familiar with him. And that's why we're looking to kind of do this bridge, right? Because water is water, whether it's lead service, whether it's clean drinking, sanitary sewer or stormwater. And that's why we think he's our guy. And as we're looking for a new DPW commissioner, right? And we're looking at those leadership roles. We're looking to see what is the best way, because DPW is no longer just picking up garbage, right? DPW over the years has morphed into something far more sophisticated than just garbage collection, street sweeping, cutting trees, planting trees or cutting trees. And so as we go forward to replace Commissioner Bush, we're also redefining what these leadership roles in DPW look like, so that we can have the right people in place to lead capital projects, right? We getting money for the Armory, we're getting money for the Doles, we're getting money for 4th Street Playground, we're getting money for Brush Park. And one of our biggest challenges is we're getting all of this money that's being awarded to us, but do we have the right people to lead these projects? And we don't want to get money and we don't have the person who can lead us in spending it so that we can get things done in our community. So we'll be bringing some of these kind of reconfigurations and redefining of what these roles look like to the council as well as to the controller's office. So you can see how we're working it through. And then we're also having conversations about how some of the other funding needs that we have. So we understand that there's administrative monies that can be applied for things like this that are separate from the 150 million. Like the 150 million can just stay for capital and not be used for administrative, because there are separate administrative monies that can be applied for. It's not like the administrative monies that we're using to fund this deputy commissioner and the assistant engineer and the storm water coordinator are taking a lot out of that money because it's small when you're looking at $150 million. But look, if all of that money can go underground, that's great. And so those are some of the things that we are looking at. And if we need to talk about having a conversation with the state about adjusting the size of that rotating fund, then we can do that too, because I think some of the work that we're doing are picking up, and to make sure that we can keep up with it.
Yeah, that conversation.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So if you got 5 minutes after this, you can let me know you want to go from 5 to 10, 5 to 7.5, whatever we need to do, so we can make sure that we have on hand what we need to keep pace with what we need to do, so that none of that work is slowed down. Okay?
Right.
All right. Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Mayor. So moved.
Second,
Roll call.
Comptroller Morton,
aye.
Council President Thompson, Mayor Patterson Howard.
Aye, and this is our first Board of Estimate meeting for.
Yes.
So welcome.
Well,
Before we adjourn, welcome back. Welcome back to Council President Derek. We appreciate you being here and we look forward to getting work done here on the Board of Estimate and Contracts. Meeting is adjourned at, oh Jesus, 5:00.